On today's show, Kevin Durant cooking his former Suns team, Thompson feasting, playing off of the ball, and how the Rockets spoiled Dillon Brooks' return to Houston. It's all coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What is up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now the #1 sports podcast network. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and credentialed media member. Be sure to follow along wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Rockets. On today's show, we're going to be breaking down the Rockets' 117-98 win against the Suns, getting into Kevin Durant and his historic milestone achieved in this game, as well as cooking his former Suns team, his first meeting against his former team this season because he missed the first one. Dillon Brooks in his return to Houston, some of his antics and how the Rockets put clamps on any potential Dillon Brooks revenge game after his hot start in this one. Thompson feasting, playing off the ball, playing off of Kevin Durant's gravity in this game. We'll talk about the tribute videos as well for Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks. No Jalen Green still in this game, hasn't suited up against the Rockets this season. He's still out due to injury. Also out in this game, no Devin Booker for the Suns and no Alperen Sengun for the Rockets. So a little star light in this game. However, Kevin Durant certainly put on a superstar performance to make up for the lack of stars in this game. First, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. And as always, thanks so much for making Locked On Rockets part of your day every single day, whether it's on your way to work, on your lunch break, in the gym, on the weekend, maybe. Thank you so much for being an everydayer. Also, let's just go ahead and do this right now.
Release the hounds.
Release the hounds. Go talk some smack in the YouTube comments over at Locked On Suns. Let them know that Locked On Rockets sent you. I've been pretty lax about doing it this season, but it's always fun to mess with the Suns. So let's go let my good friend Ben Garcia know what's up over there. All right, let's get into this one. Rockets 117-98. And look, this was an ugly game to start. Like, it was not a great first quarter by the Rockets. They shot roughly 40%, only 9 of 22 in the first frame. They trailed the Suns by 7 after the first quarter, 31-24. And that trend actually kind of continued into the second quarter. This game felt like it was all Suns for the first, 16, 18 minutes or so. And a big part of that was the Dillon Brooks revenge game on full display. DB dropped 14 points in the first quarter, and it felt like the Rockets had zero answer for him. Nobody could stop him. He was playing straight bully ball, straight line drives, the mid-range. He was cooking. And then Kevin Durant was like, oh yeah, I'm Kevin Durant, and dropped 17 points and 3 dimes in the second quarter, just completely took command of this game on his way to his 31,000 career points, which has only been achieved by 8 total players in NBA history. So some history being made in this game as well for KD. I believe he broke 31,000 in the first quarter, though, not the second quarter. So congrats to KD on that milestone. But the second, this was KD, I think, quite possibly at his best in a Rockets jersey. He was perfect in that second quarter. Every shot that he put up, I thought was going in, and he only missed one. So you're basically right in thinking that every shot was going in. He drove to the rim. He had the dunk in transition, the coast to coast one. He had the baseline drive and lay in. He had a couple mid-range shots where he absorbed contact and still finished it off, got to the free throw line. This was a masterclass scoring quarter from KD to completely turn this game around. And instead of trailing by 7 after 1, right, the Rockets took a very healthy 10-point lead into halftime as a direct result of winning that second quarter 44-27. And Kevin Durant was the catalyst that completely turned this game around. And KD mentioned this post game, right? Somebody was asking him, how, was anything different about this game? How was he able to be so effective? How did he catch such a rhythm? I can't remember the specific question, but his answer was one of the first things he said, I just touched the ball more. And I think the reality of the situation is there are some stretches where the Rockets, because they are a younger team, and because they're still trying to experiment at times and still trying to give opportunities to some of the other guys on the roster to spread their wings a little bit and try and find themselves offensively, whether it's Amin Thompson playing on ball, Reed Shepherd trying to grow and develop in his responsibilities as a point guard for this team, Jabari Smith Jr. or Tari Eason trying to do a little bit more offensively than they have in the past. Because of kind of the dynamics at play here, where you want some of these other younger guys to still get valuable reps in. You want them to get on-ball reps. You want them to have opportunities to step out of just their usual box of you're just a role player or just spot up on the three-point line and take shots or whatever. You know, sometimes the Rockets' offensive hierarchy has looked a little suspect this season. Obviously, they are at their best when the ball is in one of the hands of Alperen, Sengun, or Kevin Durant. And with no LP in this game, by necessity, KD had to handle the ball a lot more. The offense had to run through KD a lot more in this game. And this was kind of the direct result of it, right? He was in a little bit better rhythm early on. He caught fire in the second quarter. And then after dominating the Suns in the second quarter and just completely torching them, the Suns had to then dedicate so many defensive resources trying to double team him and trap him and you know, blitzing him and trying to get the ball out of his hands the rest of the game, that he was able to then bend the defense and really generate some easy opportunities for other guys as the game progressed. And that's the beauty of having a star player like Kevin Durant, who demands so much defensive attention on a night-to-night basis that it just makes everything easier for everybody else. And so KD did all his heavy lifting, or most of his heavy lifting there in that second quarter. And then from there, the Rockets were able to just kind of coast and dominate the rest of the game. And they did it with their defense, and they did it playing off of the gravity of Kevin Durant, with other guys stepping up in big ways. Amin Thompson, namely, who completely feasted off of all that attention, all that defensive attention that was being dedicated towards KD. We'll talk about Amin posting his season high 31 points, playing off of the basketball, as well as getting into the Dillon Brooks antics from this game, the tribute videos, all the other good stuff from this one. We'll get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. The season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely immaculate. There are nights when your team just stresses you out, right? Maybe it's a bad loss. I don't know. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need that sweet treat right now. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, and whatever gets you through the season delivered right to your doorstep. DoorDash in your bag all season long. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast, home for everything Houston Rockets basketball, where remember, the best way to help us grow our show is to listen every single day on a podcast platform of your choosing, and then like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. The comments help a ton on YouTube. Please comment on the videos. If you watch the videos, please comment on them. The comments are super helpful. All right. Elsewhere in this game, look, Amin Thompson had one of his best games of the season. Statistically, this was his best scoring game of the season. And he did it because he was playing the way that he used to play. And this is going to be a battle, and it's a talking point, and it's something that the Rockets are going to struggle with all season long. But Amin Thompson, on ball as a point guard, has grown. He's grown tremendously this year. He absolutely has. It is a very difficult role to learn and play in real time on a team with, championship aspirations. It's one of the toughest positions in all of sports. But when you have games like this where Amin Thompson is able to kind of revert back to his previous role, where he is a dynamic secondary creator, a dynamic off-ball threat, a transition terror, if you will, all the things that he did in this game at such a high level are the things that he's capable of doing on a nightly basis at an incredibly high level. And this is when Amin Thompson, and when the Rockets are at their best playing with Amin Thompson, is utilizing him the way that they did against the Suns. He did so much of his damage off ball against the Suns. He still had some great moments. He had that early drive in the first quarter where he just straight up bodied Mark Williams, just bounced him off like it was nothing and finished at the rim. He had a couple other great downhill drives in this game. He had the one where it was kind of like a coast-to-coast drive where Steven Adams set like a really bone-crushing screen in transition, and Amin Thompson just blew by not one, not two, but three different Suns players on his way to the rim, where he then did like a double clutch dunk at the rim going full speed. I don't know how many players in the NBA are capable of doing that specific sequence of moves, but it's not many. And so he still had some opportunities where he was on ball and got to, drive and just get downhill himself. But so many of his opportunities in this game came playing off of the basketball, came playing out of the corners or playing out of the dunker spot or feasting in transition. And that is when Amin Thompson feels like he's at his absolute best. And the results speak for themselves. He wound up dropping 31 points in this game on 12 of 17 shooting. This was a season high for him. 4 rebounds, only 1 assist, 3 turnovers. Not a great, traditional kind of stat stuffing game for Amin Thompson. But with Kevin Durant handling the rock as much as he did in this game and drawing in so much of the Suns defense, and then pitching it out to guys like Amin, like Steven Adams, like Jabari, like Reed Shepherd, right? Other guys really, really eating off of the attention that KD was drawing in this game. It was just, it felt like the offensive hierarchy in this game was some of the best that we've seen all season. Again, talked about that a little bit there in the first segment, but this is what it can look like when you play this heavily through Kevin Durant. But again, on a nightly basis, you don't want to put that much wear and tear and stress and burden on him, which is why the Rockets have kind of diversified things and tried to, attack teams in different ways throughout the game, or throughout the season, I should say. But it was great just seeing Amin Thompson playing free, playing the way that we know he's capable of, being that ultimate release valve offensively, while still having some opportunities to kind of, spread his wings and do some damage with the ball in his hands. That's when it feels like he's at his best. And for the Rockets, I understand this balancing act of development and contention and winning and growth and all of it. But when Amin Thompson looks this good playing off the ball, it's so hard to try and justify, hey, let him get more on-ball reps, especially because the on-ball reps, when he's out there with some of the non-shooting lineups, or the multiple non-shooters on the floor, like things just look mucky and clogged up. And it's just, when it looks this good, it's really hard to justify not doing it more often. And so that's just kind of the reality of the situation. Is we know how good Amin Thompson, the Rockets, can look when he's playing off ball. And the question ultimately is, can he get to a place where his on-ball capabilities are at least close to what he's capable of doing off ball on a nightly basis in order to continue to justify him having all those on-ball reps? Or will the Rockets just be better off, allocating those developmental resources to a Reed Shepherd type? Or would they just be better off running all the offense through Alperen, Sengun, and Kevin Durant every single night? Who knows? But part of the reason the Rockets won this game, their defense obviously they woke up, they put clamps on the Suns in the second half. Dillon Brooks had 14 first quarter points, only scored 9 points the rest of the way. He finished the game 23 points, but it took him 24 shots to get there. Shout out to Fred VanVleet, Coach VanVleet, sitting over on the Rockets bench, who was mic'd up for this game and was trolling the hell out of DB over on the sideline. Like, he was talking to DB and he was like, what you got tonight, DB? What you gonna do? And DB's shouting back to him, and Fred goes, Fred's like, you got 2 points. What you gonna do? And then later, Fred's like, 40? You got a 40 ball yet? And you could tell, like, Fred was playing mental warfare with Dillon Brooks, trying to bait him into going for a 40 ball. And it worked. Dillon Brooks shot him out of the game. 24 shots for DB. Next highest on the Suns was 13 shots for Colin Gillespie. And I mean, I guess that's how it's going to look with no Booker out there. But my goodness, shout out to Fred, still finding ways to help. Fred was also like playing, was like working the refs on the sideline too for Kevin Durant, because at one point he tells KD, he's like, hey, Kev, he said he's not going to call it for you because you haven't talked to him yet. You haven't complained about it yet, about all the contact that KD was receiving on some of his drives. Oh man, Fred's a winner in every sense. He's trying to find every competitive edge for this Rockets team, even though he's not suited up out there with the guys. Love Fred VanVleet, man. Can't wait for him to be back. But defensively, the Rockets really turned it up in the second half. Again, only allowing 40 Suns points, 14 in that third quarter. And they continue to just pile it on offensively. That first quarter, mentioned that it was kind of rough out the gate, roughly 40% shooting in the first quarter for the Rockets, just 9 of 22. They shot a blistering 72% across the second and third quarters combined, 31 of 43 shooting, only missed 12 shots in those two quarters combined. And that's the game right there, is the Rockets were just offensively on another level. For the game as a whole, they shot 59% from the floor, 56% from downtown, and 89% at the free throw line. When you're that good offensively, sometimes nothing else matters, right? And even though the Rockets did, they wound up turning the ball over a little bit more in the second half. They were better about taking care of the ball in the first half of this game. Things got a little bit sloppier in the second half. But even weirdly enough, they didn't have some of their usual win conditions. They won the rebounding battle in this game against the Suns, 40-34, but the Suns absolutely crushed them on the offensive glass, 15-6. And they also just completely dominated the second chance points battle, 29-8. A plus 21 for Phoenix in second chance points. And it didn't matter because the Rockets were shooting so well that they didn't even need all those second and third chance opportunities that they usually rely on a night-to-night basis. That's one of the reasons the Rockets offense is as good as it has been, a historically great offense this season, is because they are a significantly more efficient offensive team. But on the rare occasions that they do miss shots, when they get the offensive rebound, they get another crack at it. And you cannot give good offensive teams a second try at it, because more often than not, it's going to go in. Rockets didn't need all those second chance points in this game. They were getting out and running, though. They beat the Suns in transition 16-8 in this one. They dominated in the paint 66-58 in this game. And again, between the defense in the second half, the Rockets continuing to pour it on. They had the big games from KD and Amin Thompson. They also got a quiet 16 points for Jabari Smith Jr., 16 points on 8 shots. Really strong game from him. And then 10 points each for Aaron Holiday and Reed Sheppard off of the bench. Some really great moments from Reed Sheppard. Talk about him and his facilitating in this game, as well as other thoughts on the tribute videos and some other fun moments from this one. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode was brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment with live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly, player props that update as different guys heat up. You can bet on the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast, home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. All right, let's get final thoughts from this Rockets-Suns game. And let's start with Reed Sheppard here, who really, I thought it was a really strong game for Reed off the bench. Only 2 of 7 from 3 in this one. But finished the night with 10 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, only a couple turnovers. Really quality minutes for Reed off the bench. Loved his facilitating in this one. Loved some of the lob passes that he got to Clint Capela. He got a really good pass over the top of the defense to Steven Adams. Had some good kind of two-man actions with Kevin Durant that led to a three-pointer for himself. Just some really good play from Reed in this one. And I know that, he probably wishes that he could have had some of those threes back. A couple of them went down and out, rimmed around a little bit and popped back out. But overall, really good game, really great minutes for him off of the bench. And maybe it was jumping the gun a little bit, wanting him to be in that starting lineup. And maybe it's just easier to bring him along slowly, let him get those 20, 25, 30 minutes a night off the Rockets bench and keep building him up over time. And then eventually he'll be ready for that starting role full time. But Love the minutes out of him. Some good minutes out of Aaron Holiday. 10 points, perfect from the floor, 3 of 3. Hit both of his threes, got to the free throw line a couple times, hit those. Some nice minutes for Jayshawn Tate as well. Just some energy minutes off the bench, filling in the Rockets rotation with no Alperen and Sengun out there, which means no double big lineups, which means everybody kind of slides up a little bit further in the Rockets rotation. And I don't know, really good, kind of really good complete team win in this one. Also, shout out to Josh Okogie, who he was facing his former team again as well. And Josh had some really early plays. Like Josh Okogie it felt like he was involved in every single play for like the first 3 minutes of this game. And then I just kind of forgot that he was out there on the floor. So I don't know. Josh got his work done early and then was a little bit of a non-factor the rest of the game. But this game was, the return of Dillon Brooks was obviously, a big storyline, and unfortunately no Jalen Green yet for the Suns. So Rockets still have yet to face their former number 2 overall pick. But it was really cool to see the Rockets do the tribute videos for DB and JG, because I mean, they were a huge part of this Rockets organization. Obviously, Dillon Brooks helped turn the culture around. There were high hopes for Jalen Green for years in Houston, and he was still a really big part, obviously, of the success that this team had last season. So it was really cool to see the Rockets honor both of those guys in their return to Houston for the first time. And you saw like pregame, like Dillon Brooks was getting into it with Clutch pregame. He was having fun there. And there's a level of fan love that both of those guys received. That's super understandable. And from the Dillon Brooks perspective, especially, like Dillon Brooks in a short 2 years, to me, and I'm not speaking for all Rockets fans, whatever, but like, to me, I feel like he entered like the pantheon of like all time Rockets, like fan favorite players. Like he's a player that is so misunderstood and is an absolute joy to cheer for, to have on your squad. He's a winning player. He knows what it takes to win. He's a selfless guy. He's got a team first mentality. And yeah, can Dillon sometimes get a little too Dillon-y for his own good and takes too many shots or do this, that? Yes. But it felt like by and large, he was, he cleaned up his offensive repertoire with the Rockets. He helped instill the defensive mindset and culture that Ime Udoka wanted for this team alongside Fred VanVleet. And he helped turn this organization around. And for that, like, I think Rockets fans, should forever be grateful for the 2 years that DB spent in Houston. And he's got such an amazing relationship with so many of the guys currently still on the roster and with Ime Udoka himself, that they're such good friends, like off the court, that I'll say it right now. I'm gonna go on record. My gut tells me that Dillon Brooks will find his way back to Houston at some point. Genuinely. I don't think he's the type of guy to hold a grudge for being traded for a star. I think that he understands the business and the nature of the business. And if an opportunity presents itself a couple years down the line for the Rockets to bring back Dillon Brooks, either via trade or by just signing him outright in free agency, I think they will absolutely jump at that opportunity, because every team needs a Dillon Brooks. Every team needs a villain who's willing to do the dirty work, who's willing to rile up the guys, rally the troops, be that emotional leader, bleeding heart on his sleeve, all that stuff, because that's exactly who Dillon Brooks is. And he's a gigantic softie off the court. He's actually such a sweet guy. So it was fantastic, like getting the tribute for him and for JG, right? Like for Jalen, it's bittersweet because, Rockets fans wanted it to work out with Jalen so badly. And, Jalen was the first glimmer of hope after, the end of the James Harden era and that weird transitional season, and, drafting Jalen Green and being able to be gift wrapped, what looked to be another transcendent, like 2-guard prospect after just having almost a decade of unbelievable guard play from James Harden. It was almost poetic in nature that the way the Rockets won that, the second overall pick and were able to draft Jalen Green. And he gave the Rockets 4 good years. And unfortunately, he didn't live up to the level of expectations that fans probably had placed on his shoulders. He never became the star that people believed he could be, at least not in a Rockets jersey. And he's still got plenty of time left in his career, and he may prove people wrong, and he may prove that the Kevin Durant trade was not the right move and the Rockets should have held on to him, and maybe he does become a star in Phoenix or somewhere else in his career. But regardless, he played hard. He wanted to win. He was, a selfless player. He was willing to do whatever it took for this Rockets team to be able to win. And ultimately, it was bittersweet because there's always going to be that what could have been. Should the Rockets have kept him? Should they have kept growing and building and trying to build something with Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks in company, as opposed to making the swing for a star player like KD? But ultimately, we'll never know. And so because of that, right, those tribute videos, which were really well done. Shout out to the Rockets videographers and their social and editing team, because they did a great job with those. And you could tell, like, I think they wouldn't tell you, but I feel like both guys probably got a little bit emotional during those videos. And understandably so, right? For Jalen, it's the team that drafted him, spent 4 years here, grew up, became a man here, became a father here. And then for DB, a pit stop where, after being made the scapegoat for what happened in Memphis and, basically being told, go home, we don't want you here anymore, to be so embraced by another fan base, to be so embraced by Rockets fans, and to have so much love from an entire fan base, from an entire city, not as a star player, but as a role player, probably felt really good. And ultimately, those two guys are great individuals, great people, good basketball players, and Rockets certainly missed them, but ultimately it worked out the way that it did. And this is, I think, in high, like when we look back on this trade, another 3, 5, 10 years down the line, I think this is going to go down as one of the most like win-win trades in NBA history, because Jalen and Dillon were certainly, Dillon especially, was what the Suns needed to kind of give them a backbone and kind of change the culture a little bit, exactly what he was doing in Houston. And KD is what the Rockets needed. They needed a legitimate star. They needed somebody who could elevate everybody else and who could take some of the pressure off of guys like Alperen, Sengun, and Amin Thompson. And ultimately, I think it's going to work out really great for both teams at the end of the day. I wanted to highlight one other. I have it in my notes because I had to bring it up. Steven Adams took a nasty spill. Not even a nasty spill. Steven Adams took a fall early in the game, and had like the LeBron-esque moment where he was like, looked at the camera and then went back to like, I'm hurt. And like, I lose it every time a player does one of those. It's so ridiculous. It's so funny. And then my other note that I had here, just to wrap up this one, just some good minutes for Clint Capela, obviously backing up Steven Adams in this game with no LP out there. Clint with 4 points, recipient of a couple lob passes, 7 rebounds, had an assist in there, had 4 block shots. Clint Capela block party all by himself. 4 blocks for Clint. And he has looked at, ever since that one pop where I was kind of like, hey, Clint might be a little washed, he has looked really good. So I'm not going to take credit for that. Clint's been playing some really good basketball as of late, and I'm glad that he looks the way that he does now, because he did not look great earlier in the season. And he had that one, like, just straight up and down volleyball block at the end of the game. It certainly looked like Bouye wanted to like get a poster at the end, and Clint just went up and down like just a wall and did not let him get it off, and then gave him the stare down too to end the game. Like, my goodness, the disrespect from Clint Capela at the end of this one. It was great to see. Super fun game. Back and forth, not even a back and forth affair. It was all Rockets after that second quarter, but just, going back and forth with Dillon Brooks, right? Watching, dealing with the Suns team, dealing with Dillon's antics, all of that, watching KD go off, watching him and Thompson go off. It was a fun overall game. Good win for the Rockets. Need to keep stacking wins, and no rest, because they immediately go straight to a back-to-back where they face the Dallas Mavericks on the road in Dallas Saturday night. And hopefully Alperen Sengun is ready to go and feeling better for this game, because it's the second night of a back-to-back, which means no Steven Adams. So hopefully Sengun is ready and is able to shake off whatever sickness he had. They were talking about on the broadcast that he might have picked something up from the Jazz, because the Jazz had a couple players who were dealing with sickness while they were up in Utah. So maybe Sengun caught something from one of them. Who knows? Wouldn't be the first time that Jazz players made a visiting player sick and impacted their chances to win. Zing. Anyways, with that, I want your thoughts on this Rockets Suns game. What did you think about Kevin Durant taking things over in the second quarter? What did you think about Amin Thompson playing more off ball in this game? Give me all your thoughts in the comments about the tribute videos for Dillon and Jalen, all that good stuff. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.